Well, hey there. Welcome back to Astroneer. I'm Joe Mama, your host. Now we are back. Like I said, I promised we... Oh, perfect. Perfect. Y'all saw that? Did you see that just now? The timing was absolutely perfect. Well, not exactly perfect. I wasn't prepared for that. But what you just saw was this automatic arm reached over and picked the recurring science item. It's not a science item, it's not a research item, it's a research sample. That's what it is, a research sample. It picked the regenerating research sample and put it into the science research chamber right here. That's central to what we're going to be talking about today. It's been a little bit since my last video, and the reason for that is we've hit a new stage in the game, for one. We've completed all of the tasks that were set forth for us by the game. We completed them all. So all of our pre-packaged missions are done. So, just like Minecraft or Factorio, we've achieved all of our end game goals. Basically what that means is, in those games, just as it does in this one, we now have access to all the resources available in the game. We've been everywhere, we've unlocked everything, we're good to go, we can really start to play now. But what I want to mess with is automation, and I'm a little bit at a loss as to exactly how to do this. This is not something I've ever played with in this game much, but the first thing that came to mind, and somebody actually brought this up, is using the automatic arm for Science Farm. And I don't know if that was Umfufu, I don't know if it was you, might have been 2G, G2, whatever his name is, might be. I can't remember exactly who said it, but pointed out that you can use these auto arms here to pick the science samples, the research samples, which, if you've noticed, hopefully we've made clear, these samples, you'll find them on orbs like this. I think, let's see, there's one over here. You can see two of the samples right here. How many times have we scanned these? And just like that, we've scanned them, just picked them up and scanned them, and then we notice that, within several minutes, they're back. So, and there can be anywhere up to like 3 samples in these orbs, but they don't amount to much. But anyway, so I've been trying to think of ways to use this automation. So I've had a little bit of a, I guess you could call it a writer's block, or a video maker's block, but also, for the first time since COVID, the New Hampshire Highland Games have come back to the White Mountains in full, and that's something that I like to see as a kid. And we went to see it again this year, and I took a little extra pleasure in the fact that the pipe and drum band put forth by the U.S. Military Academy at West Point actually led in the Parade of Clans playing the Army song on the bagpipes. I've never seen that before. That's 20 years in the Army, and I have never seen bagpipers play the Army song, so that was kind of cute. But anyway, yeah, so we did that. That was a few days, and then all the while I've been trying to think of ideas on how to employ automation. As I started messing with this, and I found it quite by accident because I was shifting this platform around, and I caught this as I was shifting it, and it fed the sample right into the research chamber, and I thought, wait a second, that's a thing. If that can happen, because these things sit unharvested for days, they'll just sit there, when really, even though they don't, like, let's see, let's take one of these. Okay, let's pick these two. Oh, I just scanned it. I'm sick of okay. So let's grab these over here. Okay. And we'll just ding, ding, grab them, pick them up. And we'll go back over here. Okay, let's put these in the machine. Okay. Now, if we take this, take a look at it, and it scans and there's only 55 bytes present. Let's say 60 total. And right now, it's scanning at a rate of about 33 bytes per minute. It's not very much. However, over the course of the game, that's like a trickle that keeps coming. It just keeps coming. It does take some time. It takes about 2 minutes for that to it takes about 2 minutes for that little bit to be researched. It goes pretty quick, and this will not regenerate it every 2 minutes, so you gotta come up with some other solutions. But I found this by accident, and also I think it was at the same time that I got the comment on the last video that suggested that this is how you can do it. That you can set up, you know, because I mentioned the idea of automation, and somebody mentioned, well, science farms. Also, yeah, it was, who was it? No, I think I've got both wrong, and I apologize already for getting that wrong. But somebody mentioned that, I don't think it was Umfufu, I don't think it was, it might have been. Oh, I don't remember. That you can also use it to harvest hispane plants. So there's that. Now, what exactly you would do with the hispane plants? I guess you could. Could you put them in and research them? I don't know. But all of these things tell me that just science. Oh, see there, it just grew back. Fantastic. Okay, so that's there. This thing will pick it up, and it'll just keep shoving this stuff into the research chamber. And if you can find these places all around the world, all around the solar system, you could have a lot of science coming in all the while. So like right now, we've got science coming in at a rate of 199 bits per minute. Now, I don't need science right now. I've researched everything. But if somebody had brought this idea to me, or if I thought of it earlier on in the game, maybe it could have helped us reach that limit. The state in the game where we've researched everything. Maybe we could have unlocked a lot of things quicker. Maybe. Because we wouldn't have to think about it. It would just happen. Now watch this. And it gets that one ready, and the research just keeps going. So that right there is pretty awesome. So I have some ideas about how we can employ this, and some things I was experimenting with. But we'll get to those in just a minute. But I want to talk about some of the tools that we have available to us now that we've unlocked them. And just so you know, they are here. They're on this list. All the things you get, this is basically this, I don't know, the science checklist or whatever. It keeps track of science coming in. And you can go to the various printers. And each of these represents a printer. Like this is off the backpack. And as I've said this before, this is the small printer. And I just realized too that, notice how it's got the 2 beads on the top? It represents 2 elements that can be fed into the printer. So it's a small printer. And then that one has 3 beads, so it's talking about the medium printer, which, if we take a walk right over here, see here's the small printer, here's the medium printer, it's got 3 beads on it. Oh, the symbol is right there. Symbol is right there. It says large printer. It's got 4 beads, and there are 4 elements on it. So you can go find any particular item on this checklist that you want to print. And this will tell you what's required and the science that's required to unlock it. Like I said, it keeps track of the science. Now, up until now, throughout this game, anytime I've wanted science or bytes or whatever, I've had to go out and find the science items, which is, there's a difference. Science items and research items and research samples. The research items include the 2-lobed, let's see, the 2-lobed things that we can research that take up 2, as you can see, notice the 1, 2. We could put a research item right there where it's got the 2 attachment points. So it's what would you call that? A medium item. And we don't have any floating around here, but it's the items that you dig up, you find underground, and they take up both of the attachment points in the research chamber. When you find those and you research them, once they're picked, they're done. They will not regenerate. They're done. But they usually have a lot more science in them, a lot more science bites. However, these research samples just keep regenerating. They're not a lot, but they keep regenerating. And if you have an automatic system that can just feed them science, I think I would like to try this in another game, get this going early on, and we don't even have to think about science. It's just going to happen, especially if you put multiple systems throughout the world. And we'll talk about that later. But there's that, and then some of the things you can unlock in the process are these other items. So let's look at some of the ones we've got here. This is called, what is it? The delay repeater. When activated, also activates any targeted items after a specific delay. So what you could do is, let's say, let's grab this sucker over here. Well, first of all, let's switch to another item here to simplify this explanation. This is a power switch. Real simple. It basically attaches just like a ribbon cable, and it turns on and off. Right now it's off, so if I hit F to turn it on, it feeds power to this platform. That's all it does. Okay, we turn it on, turn it off. Now this work light is in the activated position. I can turn the light on and off, but I can turn this switch on and off as well. So what we could do is we could attach this with this little targeting pin, put that on that light, and then let's examine this thing for a second. And now we can set a delay for how much of a delay we want. So let's set it for, let's say 5. And then let's do this. Okay, this is a proximity repeater. When activated, it activates any items within range. So, if we use this... Oh yeah. There. Okay, notice there's a little bit of a delay. Now, if we remove this, or I'm sorry, if we go ahead and make the delay even greater, now let's activate it again. Now it takes a while for that to climb all the way. Let's see, can we take a look at it overhead? And you can actually see the bar graph work. There it goes, almost like a pie graph. Boom. Okay, so there's that. And that is a delay repeater. Now we have a count repeater. When activated a specific number of times, also activates any targeted item. So let's go ahead and target that light. And let's examine it. Okay, now it's sitting at 2 right now. And if you look at the top, you can see 2 lights right there. So we're going to use this proximity repeater to activate it. Okay, it activated once, and you can see 1 light is lit. We activate it twice, and then it sends the signal. So maybe you could set up a gate which something passes through, it ignores it, and then when something passes through the other way, it activates it again. Like a lock on a door or something. Now, if we go ahead and let's see, let's change it. Okay, let's set it to 4. And it goes as high as 8, but we'll set it for 4 just for simplicity. Activate that again. You see 1 light's lit, 2, 3, 4, and then it turns off. Super easy. Now, what we could do, we could set this just like, let's see, let's set it like this. Can we turn this switch on and off? Okay, with the proximity repeater. Yep, we can turn it on and off. Okay, or we could turn the light on and off itself. There's a number of ways to do it. But I don't know if you remember, a few episodes back, we did a test with the trains. You remember that? I already recovered the tracks. The tracks have been torn down, but we set up 2 parallel tracks to do a race between a regular locomotive and, what's his name over here? Chad? Cole? His name's Cole? Yeah. And, we tested to see which was quicker. And the way we did it was to push the activation buttons, what is it, right here, the call nearest car buttons on 2 railway posts. But we did it, we clicked on one, then we clicked on the other. And then somebody mentioned, well, if you use a proximity repeater or a button repeater, where's the button repeater? We have a button repeater, don't we? Yeah, right here. Okay, here we go. This, when activated, also activates any targeted item. So what we could do is we could take this item. How does this work? We could do this. We attach one. There we go. We can attach 2 items at the same time. Okay. We can attach 2 items at the same time. We can attach up to 12. So I could have daisy-chained those 2 rail pylons together and activated them at the same time. So I didn't know it at the time, but now I do. Thanks for your input, by the way. That is good to know. Okay, here's another one. I'm still working on this one, exactly how to figure this out. Okay, so... Dadgummit. Let go. Let go. It's called a battery sensor. And as it happens, I've got a bunch of batteries right here. So, what it says is activates targeted items based on changes in a battery charge. So, okay, its status is it's not stuck to a valid item. So if I take it and I stick it to a battery, so right there it says not stuck to a valid item, but it's stuck to a battery. Let me stick it, how about that? I don't understand. Let me see, or maybe, which part is not stuck to a valid item, I wonder? Attaches targeted items activates targeted items based on changes in the battery charge. I actually had this working a little while ago. Or do I need to stick it to that? So let's say that would be a targeted item right there. That's a targeting pin. So that's a targeted item. Yeah, so I'm a little confused on how this works, on how this is employed. I could look at YouTube, but I really don't want to go that route. I really don't want to go looking at YouTube to find the answer. I'd like to figure it out myself, but I'm also open to anything in the comments that might explain it, because I know this is something that could be used, but exactly how, I am not sure. But anyway, of the tools and repeaters that I found so far, that's the best explanation I can come up with for exactly what they do and how they can be used. So, if you have ideas, leave them in the comments. Love to hear them. Maybe come up with something. But I just didn't want to go searching. I didn't want to use somebody else's published ideas. But I thought maybe if somebody has ideas they want to try, I'd be more than willing to, put that to use. And this thing keeps going, and the science keeps coming. So... it's, what does that run to? About 33 bits a minute. It's not a lot, but it keeps on coming. Oh, and whatever science was going is now down to a total stop, so. Alright, so anyway, those are ideas. All these things, we're gonna come up with ideas on how to use these things in the future. We will do that. But for today, I want to go to Glacio and talk to you about another idea. Or rather, not so much another idea, but a refinement of this idea, an expansion, if you will. But we also need some hydrazine, so let's go buy some. Oh, so by the way, you may have noticed that our tethers have taken on a new look. So apparently there's something going on where throughout a couple of the worlds, which I think are Silva, Atrox, and possibly, I think the planets are Silva, Calidor, and Atrox. I think they've set up, the developers have set up like squash plants, like pumpkin plants or something, in honor of fall, Halloween, I guess. And so somewhere around, we should be able to find those. I haven't delved into that yet. I've only just started getting back into the game since being gone. So I haven't explored much, but I plan on doing that. But anyway, the reason we're coming here to Glacio is because if you're not aware, now you notice I've got 2 science chambers, 2 research chambers up there. I've got, let's see, are there arms there? No, there are not. If you may or may not be aware, depending on the planet you're on, you can find research items and research samples that can net a whole lot of bytes, and it depends on the planet. Glacio and Atrox are like the highest tier planets because on the basis of how hard they are to navigate, how hostile the local life forms are, and just how dangerous the planet is in general, how hard it is to generate power. All of those things work into how, kind of like how a planet scores on the difficulty scale. But with great difficulty comes great rewards, and one of those rewards is how much you get for a little bit of science. So let us not get in the rocket, because why am I doing that? Let's actually get into our little locomotive, which now we're going to be going at our normal speed for a locomotive, which after having ridden in coal for a while is quite slow. But in this case, we're going all the way to the bottom, almost to the core. The last level before the core. But yeah, the deal with the squash is they've added some new things into the game. I don't know if it's just seasonal, but it also changed the look of the tethers. It put that little squash and the vine on top of them, so it's like it just reskinned them. I don't think it makes any difference, really. Okay, so I started doing a thing where I set up these arms that just pick. See, where is it? One of these stalks here, it might be right here, actually grows research samples. And let's see if we can find another example around here of one that does, and I'm trying to stay out of the reach of the arms, because they'll grab stuff right out of your backpack if you're not careful. Okay, right here, here's an example. These research samples. Now watch how much we get if we scan it. 800 points. Okay, scanning it, as you recall, gives you a certain amount of items, but if you or a certain amount of bytes, but if you take that same item or that sample and you bring it to a, let's see, so I have a few saved right here. If we take one of these and we bring it over to one of these science chambers, one of these research chambers, now look. 2,160 bytes. That's a lot. That's almost 3 times the amount. But take a look at this. It still only researches it at 3 bits per minute, at 3 bytes per minute. So with that in mind, it's going to take an hour and a half, 90 freaking minutes for our science lab to do that. Plus, if you're not aware, these columns can take anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. It could be a couple minutes, it could be a couple hours to regenerate those crystals. Now sometimes it'll regenerate up to like 3 or 4 crystals, but, and I think that number stays consistent with that particular stock, with that particular branch off of which you pulled it. Like that will always, if this generates 2 or 3, it will always generate 2 or 3, that particular one. But the number that any one stock could generate is random. But once it has been set by the game, that particular one will always generate the same amount. But it might take a few minutes, it might take a few hours for it to generate a new one. So with that in mind, you might have to set up these things in such a way where they collect several and like they collect several from several different places and collect them into one point where, like, no, I started building this. This is a railroad station without the depot center on it. But this is just a railway station that, let's see, if we go to, is it right here or is it here? It's here, isn't it? So we can set up the station settings. We can set it up to stop, and let's see, what else? We can set it up to, let's see, the loading mode. So it will either load the stopped cars, it will unload the stopped cars, or loading will be disabled and the train will go right through. So, all depends. So, now we can tell the station to stop all cars that come through. We can tell it to disable the stop completely, basically turn it off, and trains will just run right through it. Or we can tell it to stop only the cars that have not been called. Like, for example, if we call the train to us, then this station won't stop it. It'll let the train go through. So that's a good thing to know. So anyway, so we can set the station up to onload, to basically upload any of what's in the cargo area onto the train. So what we could do, which I started to do here, is we set up a bunch of arms from different collection points, from different, research sample plants, if you want to call them that. Wherever they grow from, whether it be from a stalagmite or from a bush, we can collect them all to one point where they can be collected by a train, and then they all load onto a train, and then they get brought to a central point where they're distributed among several research chambers. So we can have like 8 or 10 or 20 research chambers all together, and then these arms come in and they just send them to the different points. We could do it that way. We could possibly bring the tracks in close proximity to a place where research samples are grown, where they regenerate, and have the arm, the train doesn't even have to stop. It just comes into the area, and as it passes by, the arm just drops the growth right onto the train. We could do it that way, and then there's only one station, and that station offloads everything and distributes it to all the science research centers. That's a thought. But I'm not entirely sure what to do at this point. So really, the point of this was just to give you that update. I am going to play around with it some more, and if I come up with more ideas, I will let you know. But until then, as always, I welcome any ideas in that might influence my design. Any things that you're seeing that I'm not seeing, I would be more than happy to hear and work with. So there you go. That's what's going on. Just wanted to let you know that I am alive and that I am chewing on ideas. I'm just got a little bit of a block right now as to exactly what to do. And I think I'm onto a good idea here. I think this is a thing that, if executed early on in the game, could have a huge influence on your progression through the game. Just need to come up with a great idea right from the get-go. Something to work toward when you start the game. A network that collects science. You know, even if you set up places where there's a research chamber being fed by an arm from a sample origin point, a regeneration point. If it just, the arm just grabs it and puts it into the research chamber, grabs it, puts it into the research chamber. It doesn't have to be this big, grand, centralized system, but, start small, and then you could get something really huge. And that would save you a lot of work going out there trying to collect all of those science items, because science items are a pain in the neck to collect and to bring back and to research. And that basically means that any science bites that you collect have to be done actively by you, and that takes time away from things you could be doing elsewhere. So if this is all happening in the background and all you have to do is spend the points, you don't have to make them because you have machines doing that for you, and it's happening 24/7, all day, every day. Science is being harvested for you. I see that as huge. That could be a huge thing. So you know, we'll see. So anyway, as always, leave your ideas and thoughts and commentary in the comments. Love to see them, and you know, I read them all, and if I don't get back to them right away, it's probably because we're off doing something. Something's taking up my time, but I will get back to them, and then we'll see what we can come up with. So if you like what you see, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That way you'll be notified next time one of these videos goes up. And certainly, again, always welcoming thoughts and ideas. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.